This is going to be part 2 of the summer Polychilus Phalaenopsis update. And some of these aren't Polychilus, they just live on the same shelf, so we're just going to talk about them as well. The big girls we are going to look at individually because the pots are a little too heavy to pick up and move. So we're going to look at those individually and then we'll get to the rest of them. This one here is my Summer Rose Blue Star. And this one, I believe I got from Brookside Orchids as well. I lost the tag many moons ago. Recently cut her spike, but as you can see, there is lots and lots. Let's see if we can find where that root goes. That root is starting to go down into the media after it wrapped itself around. And then we still have all the beautiful aerial roots with active root tips. I recently repositioned her. She was kind of on the end, so I did take her out, reposition her, put some of her aerial roots back in. She is growing, but I believe she needs a little more magnesium than I am giving her. Her leaves, they're generally light, but as you can kind of, if we look really close, you can kind of see the discoloration. And I just think she needs a little bit more magnesium and perhaps maybe less light. Maybe I'm giving her more light than she needs. What is that? Okay, that's just a, okay, I thought that was one of our uninvited guests, but that's just mechanical damage right there. Okay, whew. I was about to stop this and go on the hunt. She is growing a new leaf. She did finish this leaf here, and now she's working on this one. And she should be shooting out another spike. It's about that time. I cut that spike about a month and a half ago, and if she stays true to form, she will kick out a new spike within the next few weeks. And the last spike I left on for about a year. She's got beautiful kind of bluish purple flowers. They're not scented, but they are cute. And let's see, I'm also doing now a once over just to make sure we don't have any uninvited guests trying to use her little pot as an Airbnb or hotel room for a while. I think I will put her in a different spot and kind of take some of the harsh light because she does sit up underneath. Very slowly I will move, but she sits right there, and that Barina light is kind of close to her, so maybe I'll put her on the edge so she's still getting nice bright light, but not as direct as sitting right there. We'll have. And then Phalaenopsis ebenensis Tiger. I love that. I just love that. I got this one from Big Leaf Orchids back in in April of 22. So I've had it for 2 years. It's been in this self-watering setup since July of 2023. Now it's always been in kind of self-watering. I just put it in this really big pot. It was in one of the smaller square pots and decided to give it a little more room. She does have this spike here that she came with that is starting to branch off, and she's been working on buds for quite a while. We may or may not see them in 2024. We may have to wait till 2025. But she also has this spike here that I mentioned before. I have to be very diligent when I go to water because to keep it from splashing and going in. So I'm thinking of just cutting that one. I don't know. Maybe if I cut this one, that will put more energy into this. But she's working on leaf growth, so she is working on this one here, which feels like it is hardening. So that'll probably be it for this. She does have a few aerial roots out here. There's really not much to say about her. She just gives me a hard time. She's holding off on me. But I do flush all of them at least once a week. I should probably be flushing them more, but as of right now, they get at least once a week. Occasionally, I will do it twice a week. And I feel like maybe if I give her more flushing, maybe that'll help encourage some growth. So perhaps we'll try that this season. The last big girl we're going to talk about, this is my queen, y'all. She is my queen. This lady here, oh my goodness, I just love her. This is my Tai-Shin Fly Eagle, Wilson number 66, received from Brookside Orchids back in September of 2021. And guys, she is pretty much in bloom year-round. This second spike is working on some more buds. It has bloomed before. It is working, looks like, on 2. And then this one had 3, and she recently dropped a bud, but as you can see, maybe you can see, there we go. She's working on another one. And this one has that, typical lemony smell that you expect off of these guys. But look at the leaves. Look at these leaves. Oh my goodness, she's gorgeous. and with each leaf growth. And now this one is a little stunted, but it is stunted because somebody, again, I have to talk to my watering girl because she sometimes gets off her game and the girls suffer for it, but she was dry in her pot, I'm gonna say for about maybe 2 weeks or more. And so that, I believe that affected the growth of this one. But even with the lack of water, she didn't decline. Like, she didn't even look droopy. It was only because I was taking them down to flush, and I had flushed them before. I guess I just missed her. I don't know how. She sits in the corner, and with her gorgeousness, I should have paid attention. Maybe I thought I flushed her. Either way it goes, we are back on track. We're back on track, and she has forgiven me. She has, oh my God, I just love this girl. I call her the queen because she is constantly growing. Like I said, blooms pretty much year round. I do grow in my living room, so it is a controlled and growing environment. She has all of these lovely aerial roots that she is now growing, but she does have quite the roots in the pot as well. And so far, I don't think she's going to need to be repotted anytime soon because, as you can see, she's set back pretty far towards the back of the pot, and she still has plenty of room to grow and hang over this pot. That is one of the advantages of growing in organic media such as leca, charcoal, lava rock, those sorts of things, because this media doesn't break down, and as you flush your pot, any debris, dead stuff, roots and whatnot will just flush out in that. So that is one of the pluses or benefits of growing in inorganic media, is you don't have to worry about repotting and your media degrading and ruining your pot. The important thing is, don't do what I did and let it go completely bone dry, because then you'll have to soak it for quite some time to kind of reestablish your leca and your oxygenation and all the good stuff. But currently, all three of the big girls are being soaked in about 400 parts per million of fertilizer. MSU, again, no sponsorship, just really like that fertilizer. I believe rain mix, is it rain mix is the equivalent of the MSU over in Europe? Let me know what fertilizer you use. And now for these ladies here. These are the smaller ones. Let me talk about this one in a second. Let's talk about Miss Japan Evergreen first. I do have a bloom that is going over. Again, the scent on this is very similar to the Taishing Fly Eagle. Just kind of that lemony scent, but again, it has a little bit of a spicy type undertone. And these leaves, blooms, I love them. They're kind of a yellowish green. Do you see that? How they kind of have a greenish, but then when the light hits it, it brings out the yellow green. They're just beautiful and very waxy. These also last about 3 months for me here in my environment. And again, this one blooms on and off throughout the year. She does have this spike right here as well that did give one bloom. And then I'm just now noticing that we have another spike coming up here. So she's going to have 3 spikes in addition to that new leaf coming in. And look at the leaves. Look at this, guys, this is what I love about the summer blooming phals. The leaves are so big, and she is progressively getting larger and larger with her leaf growth. And again, how she sits in her self-watering pot, she has quite the room. Now she is kind of growing out of the pot, so I may need to get in there this season and kind of take her out and lower her back down. But she could probably go another season, because most of her roots are going into the media. So she does have the aerial roots, but almost all the roots, as you can see right here, they go down into the media. So there is room in there, I'm assuming, because she's going down. Another Brookside orchid I got in July of 2021. It did come, I believe, with a spike. If I can find the video, I will link it in the description below. But look at that. I love this bloom. Like, I just love it. Oh, she's so pretty with that greenish yellow and then that bright yellow lip. Oh my goodness, just gorgeous. Just gorgeous. So the Japan Evergreen, hold on, is a cross between Chiang Mai Evergreen and Ho's Kung Feng Glory. There I go trying to pronounce orchid names, and we all know I can't do that. All right. So if you want an orchid that is kind of yellow, kind of green, kind of scented, kind of gorgeous, get you one of these. And I'm just going to use my little table over here to make space. So now we're going to talk about Phalaenopsis Yin's Black Eagle. That is a cross between Dragon Tea Eagle and Grosbeak. Right there. Another Brookside in July of 2021. And this one I thought I had lost because, hold on, I'm just going to move something here out of the way while I am looking at it to keep mess down. There we go. So I just removed a little bit of the sheathing that was ready to come off because, and this one I have to be really careful with because the water will spill. Actually, you know what? Let's just very carefully. I can't be moving her around, but it's in a self-watering pot as well. But look at this one. The leaf on my right, your left, is the latest leaf that she grew after I repotted. But the important thing is, I probably should have done this one separately as I was holding the camera, but that's okay. Look at the roots. Look at the roots. And they are finding their way into the media. I do have a little bit of pond just around that with some pebbles to kind of encourage the roots to go down and to protect them from getting dried out from the top layer of dry leca, just in case. I do want to save this one. She did bloom, and I think it was a stress bloom because she kind of looked like she does now and bloomed. So I'm going to call it a stress bloom. I didn't realize it at the time, let it bloom a little bit too long, but I think we caught her in time. So she should be recovering, and if I do see another spike starting on that one, I'll probably let it get to a certain length and then cut it off to keep it from trying to bloom again until she gains some strength. And then let's talk about Violacea here. So this is, I think, my third or fourth attempt at a Violacea. I lost a few, but this one seems to be doing really well. I got this one from Carter and Holmes back in September of last year. And let's see if I can get the tag here without making too big of a mess. It is in, those two were in leca, as you could tell. So this one here is in bark and some moss perlite, and it's the small Orchiata bark. But this is the Phalaenopsis Violacea indigo, crossed with sibling. There we go. And like I said, I think this is number 4 in my collection. The first 2, I'm not sure what I did wrong, to be honest with you, other than maybe not giving enough water, and I think I overwatered one. But the third one that I ordered, it arrived and it was not in good shape. I kind of knew it wasn't going to make it, so I went on the lookout and I found this one. And since she has come, she has grown this beautiful leaf right here. And as you can see, she's got that lovely root in there. And I recently repositioned her. So she does have roots in the pot, and I repositioned her because, can you see, she's got new roots coming in. So hopefully, I don't expect her to bloom anytime soon. I want her to get that vegetative leaf growth going and then give me a nice, beautiful bloom. But she's doing fine. I'm not concerned yet. I have been very diligent on making sure that I kind of feel the leaves. And even though these older leaves feel a little loose and they're not as firm, it's because they're never going to firm up. They've been loose since I got her. It's this one that I pay attention to. And once it starts kind of getting a little droopy, then I will add some water in. And then let's talk about the 2 Parishii I have here. So this is a Vandopsis, or the 2 Vandopsis, my apologies. This is a Vandopsis Parishii, and I got this from Hauserman back in September of 22. It was these bottom 3 leaves that you see, and it had started this leaf. So since 2022, so in 4 years, oh my goodness, it's not in 2 years, guys, it's 2024. She has finished this leaf and then grown these 2 leaves. Recently, I did upgrade her into a little bit bigger of a pot. She is in moss and small bark, medium bark, all Orchiata. You can see right here, she's got, I don't know if you can see with the glare or not, But yeah, see, she's got some nice roots right here. And I'm hoping that she kind of establishes herself, because I did just recently put her in this little spot. All of these do grow under the Barina lights on the second shelf on the big grow shelf, metal grow shelf that I have. Now this is the Phalaenopsis gigantea that I purchased a year ago from Louisiana Orchid Connection. There we are. Even though these are slow growers, in that year, she has put on this leaf and this leaf and this leaf. This leaf started in 2023. It is now 2024. She is a slow grower, but I'm very pleased with her because you can see she does have that root there, and she's in, this is all moss. She's just in moss with some perlite and some small Orchiata bark kind of mixed in for aeration. I do not let her dry out. As soon as I see the outer section of this moss get dry, I wait about a day or so because I know the inside is still damp. And then what I do is I will set it into a bowl, and then I just pour the water on the outside edge to protect water getting into the leaf joints here. And I'll let it sit for about 5-10 minutes, take it out, and then put it back in this pot here. Oopsie. I was thinking of repotting her this year, but I'm going to leave her alone for another year and just let her really establish herself. So I know she's got roots in there again because when she came, she didn't have that many. I'll link the video below when I got those. She came with 3 other orchids. I ordered 4. One of them is no longer with us. The other 2 are one's doing really well. The other one's not doing very much. What should we talk about next? Well, you know what? Hieroglyphica is right here in my face. Look at the aerial roots on this lady. Look at this. Loving this. This one has to sit on the back shelf so that I can put these aerial roots and let them hang down, and they're not sitting on the shelf, kind of finding their way. So it does kind of hang over the side, and you can see the roots underneath. Look at there. Okay, so we've got, I have to turn her this way. So we've got this spike right here, and this one has bloomed for me, beautiful flowers. We've got this spike here, and then she has a new spike coming right there, and it's coming backwards. That's the only bad thing. These are not as easy to train as your hybrid Phalaenopsis that we get into the grocery stores because of the way they grow, and they're very firm. After, like right now, she's easy to manipulate, but she's not long enough to manipulate. Once these spikes get long enough to manipulate, in my experience, it's hard to get them to go onto a bamboo skewer to kind of train them. You have to really catch it at the right time. But she's grown, oh, I guess I could tell you, I got this from Orchid Classics in August of 2021, and it is the, Phalaenopsis hieroglyphica. Can you see that? There we go. This is one of her original leaves. This is the last of her original leaves, actually. All these other leaves that you see, she's grown in my care in the last 2-3 years, almost 3 years. August will be 3 years. Somebody decided that they wanted to straighten out a leaf and ended up breaking a piece off. But she is growing this gorgeous leaf here, and with each leaf it is getting a little bit bigger each time, so we may end up having to get another shelf for our summer blooming phals because these guys their leaves get so big and beautiful. But as you can see, she's also positioned kind of back, so she's got plenty of room to grow. Now she tends to grow up as opposed to over, and I'm hoping that with time, as the weight of the leaves, that she kind of comes down a little bit instead of just straight up like look, and it's not that she's reaching for the light, because she literally sits right on the light. The light sits on like right here. So she's not stretching for light. That's just the way she likes to grow, up into the air. And I'm gonna set her back over here so I can hang those roots off to the side. And then let's talk about the Samara. Now this lady here, I got her in September of 22 and didn't really do much until about October of 22, and that's when I put it in its original little small, almost like a seedling cup. And it finally graduated in March of this year, 2024, to a 4-inch cup. And now, or no, this one is a 4-inch, I think. Let's see, what size is this? No, this is the 4-inch. It finally graduated into a 3-inch. And then recently, as in a few weeks ago, I saw a new leaf coming in. I saw new root growth, which I'm not going to manipulate because she's not very steady in here, but you can kind of see right here, she's got lovely roots coming in because within 2 months, she filled up the 4-inch. And as you can see, she finished this leaf, and then, but look at this one's much bigger. So I expect this one to also be bigger. And she is kind of potted kind of low. Let's see if I can turn it this way. There we go. She's kind of low in the pot so that as she grows and starts pushing herself up, I can just fill in the media without having to disturb her again, because I do want her to kind of really establish herself in this pot before we go messing around with her again. And then this one here is one of my birthday orchids from last year. So she is in a moss and small bark charcoal perlite mixture there. Love when the roots go in and come out, and then it'll probably decide to go back in at some point. But we have roots all over the place here. But this is the, if I can, there we go, the Phals G Fancy Red. And this one right here is Tessa's fault because she was telling me she got this for herself for her birthday, and I looked up the flowers, and oh my goodness, the red, oh, they're pretty. Go look it up. Go look it up. But there's that. This is the one I say with the big long name because she is crossed with two that have fairly long names there. But this is from Big Leaf Orchid. I got in October of last year. Been in this particular setup since December of last year. Did finish this leaf, is working on this one here. And then the spike that she came with, like it's still there, it's still viable, it's fattening up, it's not doing anything, but I'm not really worried about it spiking anymore. I was kind of wanting it to spike so I could see that flower. But you know what? She can do what she wants to do in her time. So if that spike does end up finally just desiccating and going away, I'm not worried. As long as she's growing roots and leaves and healthy, she will bloom for me at some point. She came with a spike. I know she is blooming size, not near blooming size. And then let's talk about the Phalaenopsis Sogo Vivian. Now, I used to have 2 of these. This one here was a gift from Nicole Deanna over at Nicole's Orchids. And the other one I found in, I think it was Lowe's, local big box store here. And initially it just was solid green. And it did a couple of the leaves, newer leaves, kind of show slight variegation. I had some of my friends over one day, and I had one just, oh, give me one, give me one, give me an orchid. Which one are you going to give me? I want one, blah, blah. So I was like, you know what? I've got 2 of these. Here, you can have this one. She has lots of house plants. She doesn't have a lot of orchids, so it did kind of go over how to water, how to care for it. She's like, oh, but when do I water? I said, when it's dry. She said, when is that? I said, I don't know. It depends on your environment. And that's the key, guys. It's your environment determines how often you water your ladies. So once a week, I get a little video. Is it time to water? Is it time to water? So I guess I'm showing her how to water orchids. Let me pause for a second. I feel a cough coming on. Be right back. So I grabbed my coffee in case that happens again. We don't have to stop. But as I was saying, she wanted this one because of the variegation. I said, no, you can't have that one. That was a gift. You can have this one or you can't have any. She took that one. I've had this one since July 26th of 2021. I actually wrote the exact date. I did pot her up in 2021, and then she's been in this particular setup since October of 22. Now, this one and the other one, they're greedy root growers. She's not a prolific grower of the roots. Even when she is growing a leaf, when you would normally expect an explosion of roots in your pot, not so much, not so much. Now, she does have some new roots coming there, active root tips, and those are newer roots, as you can tell, because these roots kind of don't start absorbing the water right away until they get a little more mature. As you can see, these down here kind of are already absorbing, And this one I noticed root activity prior to leaf activity. So she was recently in bloom about a couple of months ago. So I'm expecting a new leaf at any given time. This was her latest leaf here. So Nicole, if you ever see this, I still have her. She is still staying and loving life here. Well, she's not loving it as much as I would like her to, but you know, she's here. Mini Mark. Oh, this one here, I'm going to post pictures. This one here, the blooms on this thing are amazing. It's got like a creamy white background, and it's got this burnt orange throat and lip, and then there's burnt orange speckles, dots all over it. Beautiful, beautiful. This one is another one that I've had since July of 2021. Again, Brookside Orchids, and Mini Mark is a cross between Micro Nova and Phalaenopsis. And I used to have the Phalaenopsis, but I overwatered it. I lost it because I kept her media too wet. It was at the beginning of my polychilous journey, and everywhere you read, they don't like to dry out, they like to stay damp, blah, blah. So I kept her too wet and rotted the roots. I couldn't get her survive. And so I will be replacing that one at some point. It's not going to be today, it's not going to be tomorrow, it may not even be this year, because I'm being very picky on what I'm buying for this year, because I do have a financial goal for this year, and I don't want to spend money on things that I don't need, if that makes sense. I'm trying not to just get things I want, I'm trying to get things I need. Yes, I'm still purchasing plants, but I'm not spending the amount of money that I would on an orchid, if that makes sense. I'm buying more regular house plants that don't cost as much as some of the orchids as I want. Anyway, I'm going on a whole different side note there. But look at her. Look at her. Tell me if that is not just gorgeous. She is getting so big, so big. And she's also trying to grow out of the pot, but not so much that I feel like I need to repot her this year. Look at all the roots in there. And then I love all these aerial roots coming out. She's got that beautiful new leaf coming. Like this girl right here. Oh. So I saw this one for the first time on Miss Orchid Girl back in, I think it was like 2019, 2018, I don't know. And I could not find it anywhere. And then I happened to be going through Brookside Orchids back in 2021. I didn't know what the orchid was called. I couldn't remember, and I saw the picture, and I was like, that's it. And I got it. And that's the 2021 order, July 2021 order. This is the reason that order was in there, because I wanted this one. And she has not disappointed. If you want an orchid that has beautiful blooms, beautiful foliage. I mean, look at this foliage. Even though it's green, like there's some striation in there, and they all have it. So it's not a deficiency. It's just the way she grows with the striation in there. I absolutely love this orchid. Like she looks like a plain Jane until you really, really look at all of her details. All of her details and her roots. All the roots, if you notice how shiny that root is, if you want to know if a root is going to activate, watch the velamen, because as the root tips start activating, that velamen will get a shine to it, whereas if it is not active, it'll be a little more dull. It'll still absorb water and all that, but it'll be a little more dull. So just a note on how to tell if you're about to get some root tips for repotting purposes. And I'm going to break this hieroglyphica if I'm not careful. Now this is our Phalaenopsis tetraspis Wilson that I got from, I believe it was Big Leaf Orchids. Yep, Big Leaf Orchids back in October of 23. And initially someone broke the first set of spikes, or not busted, what is it called? Blasted the first set of spikes. She has grown this leaf, and this leaf. She's still working on. She has 1, 2, 3, 4 spikes. So we have 1, 2, 3, and then 4 spikes on her. Only one of which has actually produced a bud. She actually had 2 on there, so she's working on that one. And I don't see any more that are swelling quite yet, but look, if you can see, look at the roots in there. Look at her roots. She is just gorgeous. I recently, again, repositioned her into this pot. She was in one of the taller square pots. Took her out of that and put her into this one. I'm thinking she might benefit from a self-watering setup or like a taller pot, because right now, like, look at those leaves. Like she's gonna take over, because right now this is what she's sitting in. So I think I may need to put her in something a little bit taller in the future. I'm gonna let her live her life right here for now. And then last but not least, for those of you who do watch Nina over at Ninja's Orchids, and if you are a member of her channel, this orchid is also for you, because this is our orchid over there. This is the Phalaenopsis cornicervi variation Orchiata. I got this from Orchids Limited. Now, mine hasn't bloomed yet, but that's okay. This one actually didn't do anything. Oh, I guess I could tell you when I had her. I got her back in August of 2021. She was, I think I had like gotten 100 subscribers. I think that's what this is for. I did pay a pretty penny for her. Orchids Limited is a bit pricey, so I don't shop there very often. She has been down potted, up potted, down potted, and recently up potted in May of 23. She is in a mixture of moss, perlite, small Orchiata bark, medium Orchiata bark, and I think I already said charcoal. The reason that she is sitting the way she's sitting is because her roots are not pliable. Even when they're soaked, they're not very pliable to move around. They kind of remind me of Schilleriana roots that are a little more stiff even when they're wet. But she has finally given me more than one leaf in a growing season. So she did this one and started this one at the end of 2023. But look at, I don't know if you can even tell, if you can see. Let me see if I can get that. You can't see it, guys, but there is splotching, like little cute little spots. Oh, you can see it right there. See right here, on here? And that is just all the way throughout. You can't really see it on the camera that well. Let's see, maybe on this bottom leaf here. Can you see that? Do you see? Oh, it's so hard to get it to focus in there. But that is just the cutest thing. And it's on all of them, so I know it's not like a deficiency issue. Well, I'm assuming it's not a deficiency thing, because it's kind of speckled throughout all of them. Even the older leaves that she came with never bloom for me. I am so looking forward to those smiley blooms that Nina always shows us on her channel. I think she's big enough, guys. I think she is big enough. I think this is our year, 2024. I think she's going to give us more. Let's just keep our fingers crossed, and let's just hope, and let's just hope. I want to see her blooms, because they're so pretty on when you see them on pictures and such. And the smiley face, I don't know, something I want to see in person. Guys, have a beautiful day.